Hey guys, welcome to 2-Minute Terms Day. I'm Hannah, and today we're going to learn some terms that you need to know when you're first starting to make pottery. There are two sets of words that you really need to know when you first start making pottery. One has to do with the stages of dryness of your clay, and the other has to do with the stages of firing your clay. It's really a toss-up which set of words you need to know first, so I'm just going to go with the bigger picture, and we're going to do the stages of firing. There are three terms that have to do with the stages of firing: Greenware, Bisqueware, and Glazeware. Greenware is the first stage. This is any pot that hasn't been fired yet. So pots or sculptures like this one that have not been put in the kiln and heated to be permanent. In my experience, the term greenware doesn't refer to a specific level of dryness. So while that pot is super dry, the amount of water in your pot doesn't really matter for this word. Now, where I could see a debate come in is at what point does a lump of clay become greenware? Because certainly I wouldn't call just a bag of clay greenware, right? That's not a pot yet. But at what point in the making process does that lump of clay become a pot, become greenware? Should the term greenware only apply to pots that are completely done? Or can it apply to a work in progress? So I don't necessarily think that whether or not a pot is done is that important when we're talking about greenware. I'm sure there are people out there who disagree with me, and that's okay. The main reason we use this word is to talk about pots that haven't been fired yet. Whether or not they're all the way done may need a little bit more conversation. Bisqueware. Bisqueware refers to pots that have been fired once to a low temperature, and now they're permanent. That firing has made this a permanent shape. The only way I can change it is to break it, or sand it or drill it, I guess, but don't be difficult, okay? Before it's fired, clay can always be reclaimed, meaning like recycled and remade into something else. We'll talk about that in another video. Bisqueware is a step. It is in between the sculptural phase and the finished phase. At this point, it's ready for me to paint glaze on it and fire it a second time. And that's basically what you do with Bisqueware. The characteristics of Bisqueware are that it's porous. It's not vitrified, a word that we'll cover later. But basically, if I put water in this bowl, it won't hold it. It'll absorb it, some of it will evaporate out, some of it will leak through and be on your counter or whatever surface it's on. Bisqueware being porous also means that it's not food safe, because water absorbing into those pores means germs and spores can absorb in there as well. So this pot needs to be finished in order to be food safe. But being porous is a good quality because that means it will take on the glaze well. If you've ever tried to re-glaze a pot and refire it and noticed it didn't really do much or didn't want to hold the glaze, it's because it's no longer porous like it was when it was Bisqueware. And lastly, Glazeware. Glazeware is the last step in the firing process and refers to pots that have been coated with glaze and then fired to vitrify that glaze. So a pot is not glazeware if you've put glaze on it but haven't fired it yet. Glazeware means that your glaze is fully vitrified, it's undergone all its chemical changes to be permanent and in some cases food safe. But ideally your clay body will also be vitrified so that it's no longer porous. Now in some cases, especially with lower fire glazes, that may not always be the case, but with stoneware it should be. Not all glazes are food safe, so don't assume that just because something is glazeware it's safe to eat off of. And that's it. That covers our 3 stages of firing. As a bonus, there are other ways to finish pottery, like slipware or horsehair raku. Some pots made out of low fire clays, like terracotta, are really finished after one firing. We'll have to do another one of these where we get into different types of pottery finishes. But that's it for today. Happy potting. See you next Tuesday.